All right, this is the Week 11 press conference with Cal starting quarterback Fernando Mendoza prior to the Bears' trip to Wake Forest on Friday. We'll go ahead and get questions started with Matt Moreno from Rivals.
How's it going, Fernando?
Going good. How's your week going so far?
Pretty good. I wanted to ask about your relationship with Coach Gilbert. I know, obviously you've had some time now to work with him and, had a bunch of time, during the offseason to get to know him, get a feel for kind of what he's about. But now you've gone through most of the season. What's it been like, building that relationship, and what stood out about, your time, learning under him?
Yeah, so Coach Gilbert's been a number of places. Most recently, he was at Ole Miss. And so that comes from a great coaching tree of Lane Kiffin. And they produced a lot of great quarterbacks in the past couple of years, such as Matt Corral and now Jackson Dart, who are both phenomenal quarterbacks. And Coach Gilbert has taken that style from like a lot of the concepts that the Ole Miss pass game had, and we've implemented it to our Cal offense. And I think that's why we've had such a high success rate in the pass game prior to previous years this year. Coach Gilbert, I think he's a great coach. He always demands the most out of me, and I definitely appreciate that. And we have a good relationship.
If there's one thing that you can point to that has really improved or that you feel has taken a jump under kind of his tutelage, what would that be for you?
I would say under his tutelage, honestly, I think the whole game has slowed down for myself. I would say the one calling point that he's definitely helped me on is the footwork, as far as being very specific with footwork and drilling the footwork, whether it's stepping up in the pocket and having two hands on the ball, or it's make sure that we have a good escape, or make sure I'm always taking a 3-step drop or the correct punch hang. I think that his tutelage has helped me develop my footwork and create a calm sense with my feet in the pocket.
Thanks.
All right, Jeff Ferrado, Cal Bears on my side.
Fernando, how you doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm okay. So take me back to the off season, and what were the things that you were really focusing on to improve your game? Because we were talking to the coaches earlier, and they were quite pleased with your ball security and how much you've made a difference there. You talk about if that was a big emphasis and how you got that done.
Yeah, ball security was a huge emphasis. As we all talked earlier in the year, it was the brutal truth. The brutal truth is I was not keeping the ball in safe spaces, and that led to turnovers, and turnover margins lead to an opportunity to win the game. And so whenever you don't turn the ball over, it helps your team get in position to win. And evidently, in every football season, if you're starting a quarterback, it's nearly impossible to never turn the ball over once or twice. But I will say that I think I've done a lot better job this year than past year and past games, and keeping the ball safe and just to understand what a vital role it has. And I would say it just comes with more reps and more development and having the opportunity to be able to play more of these games. And when that happens, the game slows down. I see windows better, and I'm able to anticipate the defense and the defenders where they're going. And I would say that also is a lot of with the chemistry with the receivers and the offense that we built over the offseason, but then also a lot of my own film study over the offseason. Over when I went to the Manning Passett Academy, Peyton Manning he had the most interceptions ever his rookie year. And I asked him a question. I was like, how did you end up being so turnover frenzy? So then all of a sudden, one of the most efficient passers and honestly one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And one thing he said that after every season, he would take 4 categories. He would take his touchdown throws, his missed touchdown throws, his interceptions, and the dropped interceptions. And what he's able to see there is he's able to see the trends. He's able to see the trends in the types of interceptions and dropped interceptions that he was throwing, and the types of missed touchdowns that he was throwing, to make sure that he's more accurate on whatever ball it shall be. I mean, Peyton Manning's he's obviously one of the best football players of all time. So to hear him say that's how he helped amend his turnover problem. That's something that I look forward to. And I saw some trends that I needed to eliminate. And I believe that I've done a pretty effective job at eliminating the season, but we still have 4 games to go. And I think it's really important that in those 4 games that the offense, including emphasis on myself, that we make sure we win the turnover margin to put our team in the best opportunity to win the game.
The last 3 games, you're completing 73%. You don't have a turnover. How do you evaluate how well you've played the last few games?
Last three games. You say last two or last three?
Last three.
Wow, I did not know that. Last three, we're also 1-2. So it sucks, but something I take it play by play, and there's plays that I'm really happy about and plays that I'm not so happy about. All I know for myself is that there's situations I need to get better in. For example, I want to take my game to the next level in the 1-minute scenarios. When we have 40 seconds left on the clock, I'm able to drive our offense down the field, get in field goal range, or get us points on the board. And get better in that category. And there's a lot of other categories to get better. And although that's a very affirming statistic of 73%, I know that that's something I definitely want to strive for, but I know I could do better than. And it's not to say that, I'm not happy with what is going on right now, but I want to keep that stretch going. And I know I could, and I know, and from doing film study, that there's a couple throws I could have made, a couple better reads, I could easily make it 80%.
And scoring touchdowns in the red zone instead of field goals, I take it that's an emphasis right now as well.
That's a huge emphasis as well, because you can have all the completions and yards in the world, but when we get down to the 20 in, it's a big emphasis. It's a big emphasis, whether it's shooting ourselves in the foot, making good decisions, just being able to put the ball in the end zone. And sometimes it happens unconventionally, and that's why you saw the play that happened with Jed and I. But in theory, we're striving for that to be easier. We're striving for that when it's first down and 10 on the 15, we get 5 yards, and a second and 5, and then we get 4 yards, and it's 3rd and 1 on the 6. We're able to get a new set of downs, or we're able to punch it in on a pass play, or who knows what the situation is. But that's what we're striving for.
All right. Thanks a lot, Fernando.
Thank you.
All right, Thomas Dunn, River, California.
Good afternoon, Fernando. Last year at this time, you had a consistent message of Cal would be a bowl team, and you were one of the leaders that helped lead your team to a bowl game last year. This year, what's the messaging in not only making a bowl game, winning a bowl game, but also achieving better year-over-year results?
Coach Wilcox has put a big emphasis on that we should be undefeated, and it's not to feel sorry for ourselves, but it's to inspire ourselves of how good of a team we are. You see teams like, I don't know what Miami's ranked around. I think they're like number 3 or something. They just had a good win against Duke. But teams like that, like we could have easily beat every single team on our schedule that we have played. And that's a testament to our culture and how we are as a team. However, we aren't 8-0. We're 4-4. So it's really important to realize that we still these 4 games in front of us. And these 4 games, we need to put our best effort, intensity, focus, especially because we have a lot of seniors. And then also we want to have a great Cal football season. And it's not to say that we're striving for anything mediocre, but a 9-4 season would be, I say a lot of people in the program would consider that a success. And it's not to, I know our potential is 12-0. At that point, right now, unfortunately, it's not attainable just because we have lost games. But I would consider winning 5 games out. I would consider that a success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Steve Croner, SF Chronicle. Go ahead, Steve. All right.
Sorry about that. I got to learn about the mute button. How you doing, Mr. Mendoza?
I got nervous for a second. I thought I almost lost my best friend.
Oh, still here, thankfully. One quick one and one longer one. Quick one is, what did you do and what did the team do during the bye week?
The bye week, it was a short bye week because we had practice on Sunday because we have a game this Friday. So that was just a part of the schedule. In the bye week, we had great practice. We prepared for Wake Forest. So we've essentially had a week and a half of preparation on them. We're able to get conditioning and faster and stronger. Coach Wilcox emphasized in his team meeting that you see a lot of teams down when it gets to the 3rd and 4th quarter. You see a lot of teams at this point in the season either playing faster, stronger, or other teams playing slower and weaker. And that's just through the buildup of the season. And there's injuries, as we all know, that happen very unfortunately. And just a variety of reasons. However, getting in the weight room and taking care of your conditioning are very important assets that we make sure we had an emphasis on this bye week.
Okay, and something referencing, you were talking about getting better in the 1 minute drive situations. This kind of plays off of that. And I asked Coach Wilcox this. You guys have lost 4 games by a grand total of 9 points. Wake Forest, its last 3 wins have come by a grand total of 10 points. So it's the middle of the fourth quarter, and it's a 1-score game one way or the other. How do you guys avoid the, oh no, here it comes again, and turn that 1-score decision in your favor?
A quarterback coach at home, David Lee, I think he explained it the best I've ever heard. He was working with the quarterback. His name Chad Pennington. He played for the Jets and the Dolphins, and he was a really good quarterback. I mean, I believe he was a Pro Bowler. I mean, and he was just great. And when he was training Chad Pennington, Chad told him, he's like, hey, I always have a tougher time in these situations, not because of anything. He was younger in his career, and he ended up still being like a quarterback that I strive to and I look up to. And this quarterback was incredibly trained and incredibly talented, and the whole team loved him. And what Coach Lee said is, take a deep breath and go back to the fundamentals. Go back to the fundamentals of your technique and stay in that range. And whenever you stay in that range, good things tend to happen. And that's something that I've actually seen a lot of success in these past 1-minute drills. We do 1-minute drills a lot in practice now to replicate that situation, because the more reps you have in a situation, statistically, the better you'll be in that situation. And so that's something that I've really incorporated, to take a deep breath and really stick to the fundamentals. Stick to the fundamentals of my throwing mechanics, stick to the fundamentals of my progressions, my reads, my covered identification. And so all those things I would say, when the temperature gets hot, instead of being a thermometer, you're being a thermostat, and you're setting the temperature, and you're taking a deep breath, and you're setting your fundamentals. So the 1-minute drills, though, that's something that when Wake Forest comes, hopefully it's not a 1-score game. It's not a 1-score game. And that's something that we always want to be an opportunity to win, but our goal is not to be in a 1-score tight game. Our goal is to have a game like we had against Oregon State, win by 1 or 2 or 3 scores rather than a field goal or 1 or 2 points. But all those things I had previously mentioned about Coach Lee, about sticking to the fundamentals and executing that play, I believe have really helped me in these practice scenarios. And now we'll see how it goes in the game.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank you.
Cody Henderson, league winners.
Hey, Fernando. You're incredibly valuable to this team. And I think everyone sort of holds their breath when you take off and run, and you sort of don't protect yourself at times. But I think everyone can also appreciate your toughness trying to fight for those extra yards. Can you talk about your mentality when it comes to protecting yourself versus fighting for those extra yards? And is that something that you want to work on to get better in the future? Just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. That's been a large point of emphasis from my teammates, my coaches, and my family in general. I know my mom watches these, so I want to shout out my mom. And they always talk about sliding, just be able to protect myself, play another play, and then protect the value that anybody in protecting themselves would bring to the team. So those are all things I look on and improve on. I believe I've done a better job from the start of the season to the end of the season. Oregon State, I would say, is kind of an anomaly where I didn't do an outlier, where I didn't do too well on that. I would say in NC State, and I slid more often, and I got down. The mentality, I'm trying to drive the ball downfield. And I know that if it's 2nd and 6 is a lot harder than a 2nd and 3. And then I know that I have the opportunity to get those yards. And it's like putting steak in front of a tiger or lion. But in the long run, for the team, my own health, and the sake of my family and everybody that cares about me in that way, I'm definitely working on sliding, as it just works out better.
Thanks, Fernando.
Thank you.
All right, Matt Moreno, go ahead.
I want to ask about a few of your receivers. Tron, in particular, had his most productive game of the season. How can he go about building off of that and really having a strong finish to this year?
Tron's an amazing receiver. You guys all saw it last year. Especially in the big game, that's my guy, and he's great. And not saying that none of the other receivers are my guys, because I consider them all my guys. But Tron has some of that built chemistry over with this past year and a half, and I think that he just does the things that he keeps on doing, and when he has the opportunities, he arises. So I think that when we get those opportunities for myself to throw to Tron, we got to hit, and I know we will.
And talking to Coach Blesh and listening to Coach Wilcox, it sounds like Tobias and Keon could potentially get a little bit closer to getting back out there with you on the field. Sounds like they've at least been building some chemistry again with them. How eager are you to get those guys on the field, and what have you seen from them and what they've been able to do so far?
Yeah, I'm not sure where my clearance goes on the injury report as far as what I can say and what I can't say. All I will say is that it's great seeing those guys back on the field, and they are two incredible assets to our offense and to the explosiveness of our team. And having them back in full force would be tremendous for a pass game.